Dadhood. Modern Dadhood Podcast.
That was incredible. Welcome to another episode of Modern Dadhood.
Thanks for having me. Oh wait, no, I'm always here.
You're always here.
I forgot. How are you today?
I'm good. It's Saturday morning.
It's raining.
We're doing some really fun stuff today. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why don't you tell our dad listeners what Modern Dadhood is?
Dads, Modern Dadhood is an ongoing conversation about the joys, challenges, and general insanity of being a dad in this moment.
Recited perfectly.
Thank you. I was reading it.
My name is Adam Flaherty. I'm a father of two daughters, 6 and... How old are they? 6 and 3?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. Yep. My name is Mark Checkett. I am a dad of twin boy toddlers. And what I want to know about is what's going on with you lately, Adam. I feel like we haven't been in these chairs in a while.
Yeah, our recording schedule was a little funky, and it's been a little bit too long, I think.
Too long, way too long.
We catch up for coffee and lunch. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We actually shared a really nice bone broth soup yesterday.
It was. We shared too much of it. Actually, we each had our own individual bowls, but they were very sloshy.
Yeah, and we were sitting 2 feet away from each other, facing each other. So with every sip, the bone broth itself was splashing into the other person's bowl.
You need sort of like a plexi glass, like those things in prison. That's kind of what you need if you're going to share bone broth bowls with a partner.
Yeah, the cage that they put the drummers in sometimes to isolate the sound on stage.
That's right. You're familiar with drummers. I'm familiar with visiting people in jail.
So I got a funny story that I want to share with you. My 6-year-old daughter is in kindergarten now, and I bring her to the bus stop, which is a 2-minute walk from our house, and it happens to be in the area of our neighborhood where our mailboxes are. So we don't have individual mailboxes on each house. They are, in one central area.
Got like a bank, got a mailbox bank.
That's exactly what it is. I've always searched for that terminology, and it's a mailbox bank.
I think it's a mailbox bank.
Thank you for bringing that to
You're welcome.
So we were standing there waiting for the bus, and it's cold now. We're in the season where in Maine, New Hampshire, the Northeast, it can get really cold, especially overnight and early morning. And so we're standing there talking, and then I look over, and she is like a millimeter away from sticking her tongue onto the metal side of this mailbox bank.
No.
While we're waiting for the school bus. It was out of nowhere. We didn't talk about it. I looked over, and she was doing it. Her little tongue was sticking out, and
oh man,
so close to touching it. So I spring into action. I've always considered it my job to keep my kids safe and to impart wisdom, the little wisdom that I've compiled over the years on them. But I also am not going to hover over them and be the kind of helicopter that's always making sure that that they're safe. They need to experience things. And so, I sprung into action, exclaimed something, it's probably just no, don't do that. And it didn't freak her out, which was great.
That's good.
But I had to, pull up a video clip to show her. You can probably guess which one I had to show her.
I think I have one in my mind here. Yeah.
Which one was it?
You got Elf?
No. Does that happen in Elf?
Shit, no, I don't remember where it happens.
I showed her Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, yeah.
And even though that's like obviously a prop, tongue.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't even matter that it's not real. It demonstrates what could actually happen, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
So we got lucky, but wow, really gets your adrenaline going at 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's terrifying. It's not like you're always carrying a small bottle of like lukewarm water either with you, just in case somebody does get their tongue stuck to cold metal.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting because you want your kids to learn lessons, right? But there's some lessons that are just, if scarring is involved, like literal physical scarring is involved, you kind of want to avoid that, right, at all costs. But you also don't want to freak them out. You run the risk of freaking. I feel like if I were in that position, my whatever it was that I exclaimed would have been enough to freak the kids out. I don't know if I would have been able to calmly enough get in there and be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that. I think I probably would have freaked out a little bit.
My daughter, once in a while, hears my voice go up into the louder ranges. Not a lot, but once in a while. So this time, she's old enough to understand that you're not in trouble. This was like a safety thing. So don't take it personally. I just really didn't want that to happen to you.
That's funny.
So this episode is one of probably many to come about music. Specifically, we're exploring what it is about certain songs that resonates with our kids and leads them to demand that we play certain music on repeat for weeks at a time. Here's one performed by my girls that most of you dads will know.
Oh,
That was my
man.
younger daughter doing the ding, the little flare at the end of the song.
Such emphasis in there. I mean, they've got words in that song that are really important for them to get right. You can tell.
Yeah, the funny part is a lot of the words in the songs that they sing together, they don't know the words, but they know the sounds of the words, and so they'll emulate the sounds of the words, and sometimes they're right, and sometimes it's like a total like butchering of the word, but you know that it's like they know how it sounds, and they're trying to make that same sound.
So these kind of spontaneous sing-song sessions, they happen a lot in your house?
A daily basis. Yeah. Your boys, I'm guessing, might be a little young to perform like this. They may or may not be, thespians when they're a little bit older.
They're getting there.
Yeah, my girls are just running around singing and dancing and putting on shows, and they pretend they're backstage, and then they need to be presented. So presenting Princess Every Dress is one of my older daughter's favorites.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I don't really have nowhere else to leave, 'cause I still got a lot of fire left in me. 'Cause I still got a lot of fire left in me.
So they're literally putting on shows for us every day. Are your boys into music?
Yeah, they're into music. They kind of like dance. They do that little sort of toddler bend at the knees kind of dance. And yeah, we play music a fair amount. Like we have Alexa, the Alexa overlord kind of always watching down on us, and so we'll play a lot of music. They don't know, like they're not going to spontaneously start singing out a song, but if you ask them pointedly, like, what song do you want to hear? They have one answer every single time, and both of them have the same answer. And they say, "Bound," which means brown and lonely worm.
Casper
The
Baby
Casper
Pants.
Baby Pants song. Yeah, they if you give them the choice, that is the song that they want to hear every time.
It's a great tune.
It's fantastic.
It's a great tune. It's a great album. It's a great collection of albums. I mean, his body of work it doesn't get better in terms of kids' music.
Yeah, and it doesn't do that thing that a lot of kids' music does. No offense to a lot of the kids musicians out there, but some of them are just grating, and they drive you a little bit insane. But I can get down with some Casper Baby Pants like any day of the week.
For sure. It's the antithesis of that, terribly produced, super bright and crunchy and repetitive garbage that, if you look up kids' music on Spotify, you're going to get served. We are huge, huge Casper Baby Pants fans. In fact, even before kids, I wasn't going around listening to Casper, but I was thinking like, man, I have loved presidents of the United States of America for so long. I can't wait until I have kids who I can share Casper Baby Pants music with and experience it with them.
That's funny. See, I didn't know about Casper Baby Pants until after, and it was by happenstance. I mean, I was a huge fan of Presidents as well. I loved all their stuff, and I had no idea. And we just started exploring the music when the kids were born, and as you're exploring the music, sometimes you're like, oh, this is okay. I'll have to remember this. This is fine. This is all right. But both Jamie and I, my wife and I, had the same reaction. We were just listening to music one day with the boys. It was Stompy the Bear came on, and we were like, wait a minute, what is this? This is different. And we listened to that song. We were like, Alexa, what is this? Tell us more, please.
It's also, that tune has that great kind of like crunchy guitar.
Oh yeah, totally. little fuzz guitar line. I think he's still playing that 3-string jobby that he plays, like weird 3-string guitar, a bass guitar, I think he calls it. But oh yeah, it's from that moment forward, we were like, okay, we're fans.
My older daughter was brought up on Casper Baby Pants, and my younger daughter has been to an extent too, but my older daughter, who's now 6, most of the music that she wants to hear at this point is coming from TV shows and movies that she's seeing. And it's been super fascinating to observe what types of songs or what like genres of music that she's naturally drawn to. And then there's my younger daughter who's 3, and I want her to be listening to Casper Baby fans like exclusively, right? Yeah. But because she is obsessed with her older sister and wants to emulate everything that she does, my younger daughter is now wanting to hear Fight Song all the time.
Oh boy, yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, it makes me sad in some ways because Casper Baby Pants or, Raffi or Rick Charette, that music is so creative and so imaginative. A lot of times there's an educational component to it, and I don't want her to miss out on that stuff. But I'm also excited that my girls are becoming aware of what's out there for music, even if it's not the stuff that I would choose to put in front of them to listen to.
I'll probably run into the same type of problem that you're running into. Like they're going to find music that I think is just god awful,
Even great songs, when you are forced to hear them all the time, and as soon as it's done, they want to hear it again. It just starts to take its toll on you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There are so many times that my wife and I are lying in bed, and Jamie will kind of just lean over and say, "I can't get X out of my head.
Yeah.
I can't get this out of my head."
Yeah, it's the same with us though. Probably once a day, either I'll ask my wife or she'll ask me, which Frozen 2 song is stuck in your head. It's like there's not even a question of if it's a Frozen 2 song. It's just that's what we're listening to now, and so I'll start singing "Lost in the Woods" or whichever one it is. You wouldn't even know.
I'm not
Lost
there
in
yet.
the Woods.
I haven't. Yeah, don't give anything away. No spoilers.
Get started on it. Here's a way to ease into it. Google Weezer's version of "Lost in the Woods" because
all right.
It's beautiful.
I'm down with a good Weezer cover.
So I actually got to explore a lot of this stuff that we're talking about with our guest on today's episode of Modern Dadhood. He is a rapper, a producer, a lyricist, a podcaster himself. He's even now an author, a multi-talented dude. And to be honest, he's someone who I would consider an influencer in every sense of the word. I'm talking about Spose. Mark, you know Spose?
I suppose I do.
Well done.
You knew it was coming too, right?
Spot on in the dad joke department today. Well, I had the chance to catch up with him in his studio just the other day. Spose, thank you for having me to your studio. This is interesting.
Thank you so much for coming through. I'm always happy to welcome people into my little space here.
Yeah, it's comfortable. It is welcoming.
Nice. Those are great adjectives, yeah.
So what I want to explore with you today is what draws our kids to certain music. And I'm talking before they get to an age where they're discovering music on their own. In most cases, it's kind of self-explanatory. So they watch the same movies or shows every day. That music is going to just become ingrained in them and they're going to want to hear it. What I think you might shed some interesting light on as an artist, a producer, and somebody who understands marketing in general is a different scenario. My daughters are 6 and 3, and there are times where they will see a movie, have one instance of exposure to a song, and that's all they want to hear.
For a week and a half, 2 weeks, a month. Yeah.
Exactly.
I certainly relate to that. I think especially in regards to what you're talking about with movies, I think there's something about being hooked into a story. And so when this song happens, and for example, a big movie like with our kids, because we have the Disney Channel, was Descendants. Yeah. Which is a movie. Have you ever seen Descendants?
Nope, but I'm aware of it.
I've seen Descendants 1, 2, and 3. I remember Descendants 3 came out, and then I came home from tour and we went on a little like lake house vacation for a couple days, and the whole time we were there, all they wanted to hear was the songs from Descendants 3, which they'd only seen once. And I think something about being pulled into the story, so you care about the characters, so when they sing this song, it hits extra hard. Mm-hmm. I remember even seeing Frozen, the movie, the first time before it really, I think I saw it like the second day it was out, like, because it wasn't like a surefire #1 hit. When it first came, like before it came out, we didn't know what to expect. It was after like the first weekend, everybody was like, "Oh, this movie Frozen's crazy," and so I remember watching it and turning to my wife in the middle of it and being like, "These songs are really good."
So just to pause us, you got 4 kids.
Yeah, I got 4 kids.
Tell me their ages.
So our oldest is our 10-year-old girl was our first. We had her for 5 years alone, just her and us, and then we have 6-year-old, she just turned 6-year-old girl who's in kindergarten, and then we have twins who are 4, a boy and a girl.
Holy shit!
So,
man,
I
you're
mean,
right in the thick of it.
Every day. Yeah, every day. But yeah, having 4 kids is definitely daunting. But to tie it back into what we're talking about,
Frozen.
I mean, it pulls, like, one of them will hear a song and I don't know, do you have Alexa in your house?
I don't.
Alexa has transformed music listening in our house. Because we talk about, like, when you or me were kids, if we wanted to hear a song, it either had to be on the radio or we had to go get our parents to purchase the tape, and then we'd only have that song, and we could never hear something. You'd need to, like, know how to spell it, you know, like,
Right.
My
There
kids
wasn't-
don't need to know how to spell. Our 4-year-olds, our twins, when they were 2, were telling Alexa, play, you know, this song, you know. And
What was it? What was it that the 2-year-old wanted to hear?
Well, actually, a big song for my twins was one of my songs, "Knocking on Wood." Our son always wanted to hear "Knocking on Wood,"
Yeah.
by Spose, you know, and Alexa, and then Peppa Pig soundtrack, pay the Peppa Pig soundtrack, you know, and they'd have trouble pronouncing it, so they got to say it like 3 times. Alexa, stop, you know, and they'd have to say it again, and they basically DJ, because you can DJ with your voice now. And I really feel like kids at a younger age can curate their own music better than ever in history.
Which is both super cool and a little bit terrifying. I remember my mom got a new car at one point when I was probably 8 years old, 9 years old, and we could put in a cassette, an album. I remember specifically, it was Billy Joel, River of Dreams album. And if I want to hear that title track again, at the end of the song, there was a button that would detect when there was a gap in between songs somehow.
Okay.
So that was the first step towards, I have some control over this. But yeah, like you said a few minutes ago, otherwise it was, I have to call the radio station and request that, and then sit there and wait for them to play it and record it if I want to hear that again.
That's why I think it's wild when people call radio stations and request songs now.
Yeah.
So just the vast, you know, gulf we've covered, you know, in music technology since then is wild, that my kids can hear any song they want, anytime, CD quality, banging speakers in the kitchen from a robot.
Right. And anything less than that is going to piss them off.
Yeah. Well, for example, I'll drive to school and we have, in my vehicle, I've got Bluetooth. So, like, if I have a song, I can play it over the...
What is this Bluetooth you speak of?
So it is a tooth stolen from the Blue Mountain. No,
Smurf tooth.
It's one Smurf tooth. And so the kids will be like, Alexa, play Imagine Dragons, you know, in her little voice. And I was like, oh, we're in mommy's car. She doesn't have the Bluetooth. So I, like, brought it up on my phone and then put it, like, in the cup holder so it would sound louder. And she's like, this was not adequate for her. Turn it up.
Shit?
You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah. So they're just spoiled with the greatness of modern technology and music. It's really unparalleled this moment.
The technology is amazing, and I certainly am enjoying it. But part of me does want to, have a conversation with my 6-year-old about, like, how it was so different when I was your age. But she doesn't care. You know.
Yeah, they don't care. We could tell them. I know my oldest daughter, who's our smartest, obviously, and our most compassionate and listening, would be like, "Wow."
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah, that's too bad.
My daughter watched Secret Life of Pets. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
So Taylor Swift, Welcome to New York is this opening
It's a big
song.
record at our home as well.
Yeah. So all she wanted to hear was Welcome to New York. And then from a different show or movie, she heard Shake It Off.
Yeah.
All she wanted to hear was Shake It Off. My daughter has no idea that those two songs are on the same album, let alone are even the same person singing. So there's an artist like Taylor Swift and anybody who's collaborating on the writing. Is there a conversation around what is going to take this thing that we've written and make it more marketable to the masses? And then the sub question is, are they thinking about kids, under the age of 12 or not?
I think the short answer is that they're not thinking about kids, except in that, oh, you might not want to say that. Something that's too offensive. Like, I think that's the only, and those are just boundaries that maybe they don't even associate with kids. They just associate with, am I going to get this played on the radio?
So it's the messaging. It's more about the messaging and the language and less about, if we want this to be considered for licensing for a kid's movie, we need to have this sound or this hook like every 30 seconds.
I
It's
think-
less of a formula.
I don't think kids are all that different from adults when it comes to music. So I think the same thing that's going to appeal to you and me is definitely like if it can appeal to the adults and be a hit record at radio, it's going to appeal to kids. I do think there's definitely a consciousness to resolving melodies. I think there's definitely a consciousness to chords that create a certain feeling. I definitely think there's a consciousness to drum sounds, even tempos like that Taylor Swift Shake It Off is like,
Right.
which is tried and true since the Ramones or whatever, it's Hey Mickey, that's We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. There's definitely consciousness to all of that. But I don't know that they're sitting back thinking, oh, the kids will love this. I think they're thinking, will everyone love this? There's a whole nother market, which is people who write songs for kids' movies. For
Yeah.
example, like, can you imagine the pressure on the writers who are writing for Frozen 2?
I was going to bring that up. Their names are Robert and Kristen Lopez. They wrote the music for Frozen 1.
Yeah,
Imagine.
I think I saw a little mini doc about them.
So obviously they understand what it's going to take to make music successful in a movie that is designed for kids and make the music resonate. But Frozen 2, we saw it and I went into it thinking, man,
How are they
this
gonna-
writing team has a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
When they learned that there was going to be a Frozen 2, it probably was a mixture of like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And like intimidation, like
Gotta feel like a band like the Strokes or something writing their second album. Like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
that was the best album of like the decade. Now we have to follow that up.
But we left the theater and literally on the way out, my girls were singing the song that they could already recognize was going to be the Let
hit.
It Go of Frozen 2.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
it's called Into the Unknown.
I've heard Into the Unknown, maybe even on Alexa, because the soundtrack came out before the movie. It's awesome that these kind of great writers might not find a home on top 40 radio populated by Post Malone and Ariana Grande, but they can find probably tons of money, in a career writing these, songs about the solar system, songs about, what you do when you get a boo-boo and like whatever, and they crush it.
So before we close out, you just got off the road on a tour and what's next? New album?
I don't know that I'll drop an album next year. Maybe I was telling you, maybe I'll just put out a song every couple weeks, and because I think attention spans have changed. I think times have changed. I think music algorithms and data have changed, and I think I need to change with them. So the plan is, for the first time ever, up in the air.
Good. Well, you've always been one step ahead, right? So whether it's your app, your kid's book, you're always thinking one step ahead. So
Thanks,
it will
man.
present itself. Congratulations. Thanks for talking about kids stuff.
Let's go, modern dadhood.
I wish you, much success and health to your family too.
Thanks, man. And same to your family, and good luck with the podcast. I've loved the episodes I've heard so far, and I'm honored to be on it, and happy to follow the dads on through the next couple years.
Oh man, that was good.
Yeah, he's fun. It's always a really nice conversation.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I wish I was there for that one. I like he talked a little bit about his kids' interaction with Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexa. I think
Alexa,
is how they pronounce it. So we have an Alexa. I think I said that earlier, but we used to have it sort of down in like a central location, and now the kids are a little bit, they're more mobile, and they started getting at it and interacting with it a whole lot. We had to move it for a little while. We had to get it out of the picture.
They're 2 years old.
They're about 2 years old now. But one of my sons in particular he picked up really early that my wife and I are talking to this thing that just sits there, and when you talk to it, it lights up and it does stuff for you. And I became hyper aware of this relationship that we were forming with this inanimate object. I think I do think it's very weird. Okay. Like I enjoyed the heck out of the thing. Right.
It creates a lot of conveniences for you, but
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
also lived a whole bunch of life without that.
That's exactly right. There was no time before that I had regular interaction with something inanimate where I referred to it by its name, and I'm becoming like super aware of that now that I have kids, and but one of my kids does do something very cute, which he tries to talk to it and activate it, but the speech is just not there. They're not there quite yet. They say a lot of words, but it's their own language still.
So he's doing the Spose thing. The Spose's son. Alexa, play Bound.
Play Bound, please. No, they're more like. First of all, one of my kids like doesn't even try, but the other one will like yell, and all he does is say like he's just getting the fact that it's 2 syllables. Actually, it's not even Alexa. He's not even getting all the syllables. I'm realizing that now, but and he gets frustrated when this thing does not light up and respond to him.
He's never going to trust technology.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he'll fall in love with books.
Oh, could you only imagine? And that's what's funny about where the Alexa was that it was, I guess maybe we did this subconsciously, but it's the same place where we keep a lot of their books downstairs. It's like there's sort of a barrier of books between them and the Alexa at all times.
Seems very symbolic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what do you think about this? Oftentimes they just take the books and they throw them across the floor. What do you think about that?
You're in my way. You are standing between me and my friend, who I also hate because she never understands me.
She doesn't listen to me, but this thing doesn't even light up. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to do, and I don't even know if this is worth anything at all in the grand scheme of things. But I try. Maybe it's worse now that I'm thinking about it. I try to, when I talk to Alexa, if the kids are around, I try to be polite to Alexa.
Yep.
So I'll say, Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes, please. And then it'll go off, and I'll say, Alexa, could you please stop the timer? So, but I don't know if that. Do you think that reinforces you think that humanizes the thing even more?
Well, I think it does 2 things. Yeah, I think it humanizes it more, but I think what's more important is that they're observing you be polite to somebody, and it doesn't matter if it's human or not in that case. It would be the same as if you were talking to somebody on the phone and you were being polite to them, and I think that they will have positive takeaways from that. That would be my assumption.
That's what I hope.
But I'm not an expert.
You're not?
No.
Well, what the hell am I talking to you for then?
I know. I quit. So, dads, if you're interested in checking out Spose, he's got a ton of great music available online at Bull Moose Music Stores or bullmoose.com. He actually just released, I said when I was introducing him, he's also recently an author. He just put out a kid's book called Pinecone Pete is Not Impressed, which he gave me a copy of. My kids love it. It's really fun, and it's actually kind of a companion piece to his album Good Luck With Your Life, which is also awesome. So you can pick up the book at bullmoose.com as well. Also, as soon as this episode of Modern Dadhood is finished, head on over and check out the Spose podcast. It's super entertaining, and he always has great guests and entertaining commentary. If you're interested, we're going to make the full interview with Spose available as bonus content. Just head to moderndadhood.com to find out how to access that.
Well, Adam, I think it's kind of that time again, right? I think we're coming to an end here.
Feels like you're wrapping it up.
I feel like I'm going to wrap it up. So, dads out there, find us at moderndadhood.com, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're the type of guy who really cares about these things, do us a huge favor. Take 30 seconds. Write us a little review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. And if you don't have 30 seconds, take one and hit subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast.
Probably most importantly, though, what's most helpful to us, Mark?
I think telling your dad friends about us would be very helpful.
Word of mouth.
We'd love it so much. You can also always drop us a line at hey@moderndadhood.com. That's HEY. I want to give a quick thank you to Casper Baby Pants and Spencer Albee for the fantastic music. And thank you to Nick Rose, who is our intern.
Mm-hmm. This is a new development in Modern Dadhood.
Yeah, Nick, remember that name, people, because he's going places. And you know what? Thank you out there for listening.
Thank you so much.